Hi, I'm Colin Farley, reporter for the Daily's Double Shot. Here at the Double Shot, we pride ourselves on providing multimedia content to complement the newspaper's written word. In this week's episode, we continue to do so by documenting student life from a student perspective. Let's take a look. Up first, I follow our opinion piece on Tinder by taking a look at how it has actually impacted students' lives. Then, the obscure Sports Weekly Club shows us how to play Capture the Flag in the dark. In this week's episode of Film Focus, John Stilarczyk reviews the second installment of the Amazing Spiderman. Our very own Trenacia Jackson brings the UW's Afro-Caribbean night to your screens. Up next, we go behind the scenes of the band Taco Cat's ice cream flavor unveiling. And finally, reporter Annie Wilson puts together a UW perspective on the current national issue of rape on college campuses. All this coming up on the Daily's Double Shot.
Yeah.
I'll see you there. Okay.
Last week, I put together an opinion piece on the dating app Tinder. This week, though, I've built on that by actually meeting some of its users and trying the app out for myself.
By now, you've probably heard of Tinder. You may have even considered signing up. After all, the UW is a big school, and we're all searching for easy ways to find some kind of companionship.
Fuck you, that was such a fatter pull than you did. That was way better.
I took way more than a shot.
To better understand what I've now come to see as a fad, I decided to get myself a Tinder. Perhaps I'd meet some people interested in talking to me about their experiences. Those I flat out asked were not interested, so I tried a more genuine approach, and then a less genuine one, both to no avail. Having my phone hijacked by friends did not work either.
Representing Afro-Latino groups and Hispanics.
In light of this failure, I sought someone who could enlighten me as to whether I was dealing with an app seen as more of a game than a pathway to dating. Luckily, I met two users who obliged.
I feel like everyone's on there for a sense of just entertainment, whatever that may be. I don't know, I have a date set up in the next week or so. And I don't know, I'm excited. He sounds interesting. It's nice to actually try to get to know someone and you know that they're trying to get to know you rather than you're at a party and I'm definitely just trying to hook up with you.
I don't think that people our age use Tinder to meet people. That's not their goal, I don't think. Maybe to meet people, but not date people.
Perhaps I had been overthinking what this actually was. The worry that Tinder may be dampening or desensitizing us to the benefits of real human face-to-face interaction was just a result of my cynicism.
It's not even really about trying to hook up with anyone or anything. It's just more funny.
It's a fun way to pass the time, definitely, looking at the pictures of the girls, and a lot of times you know the people that you're looking at, and so you say, oh, I got matched up with so-and-so.
So apart from the app being a tad shallow, there's maybe a freedom in the barrier it creates between people.
You don't go in a cafe and you say, definitely not talking to that bitch, definitely not talking to that person. On Tinder, you're like, oh, look at this feller, and look at his pickup line.
And either way, with this detachment came the fact that nobody really seems to care.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be bored of Tinder probably just as fast as I got bored of Flappy Bird.
I couldn't let my previous worry go though, and perhaps, at least according to their opinions, my thoughts weren't completely unsubstantiated.
It's I guess, online versus real life interaction, which I think we're still weirded out by this, now we text, and before we didn't, and you'd have to phone call your significant other or whatever. And so I think society's still dealing with this transition.
The more we get rid of human interaction, we just rely on a screen to, live out our lives.
However, at the end of the day, I feel the pros outweighed the cons.
It's nice to actually try to get to know someone and you know that they're trying to get to know you rather than you're at a party and I'm definitely just trying to hook up.
And the certain sense of anonymity allows a free fashioning of identity.
I'm more shy in person, definitely. Some might call me suave.
Hi, I'm Simon Fox. For this week's episode, I caught up with the president of the Obscure Sports Weekly Club, an RSO that just recently started out of a dorm room in McCarty and has grown to gain campus-wide recognition. Check it out.
You have 120 people running around and you have people coming up to me and asking, what is this, a rave or something?
On Friday, May 2nd, the Obscure Sports Weekly Club hosted their flagship event of the month. Glow in the Dark, Capture the Flag. Over 150 people came out to play the childhood favorite on a massive scale.
The glow in the dark just brings a whole different perspective to it. It's just a beautiful campus. It's perfect to host a big scale game like this. There's no roads cutting through the game. There's no people that you can run into. It's a safe way to play a great game.
So our flags, we have red and green for both teams, and the ours has got the simple switch here. You press it, turns it on. You have to press it several times though, otherwise it'll just stay on, but they do shut off. And our flags, we have, each team has one of these as their flag.
The club has gained tons of participation since its humble beginnings earlier this year.
So I just sat there and was like, well, we have the quad, and I'm sure I can gather enough people to have a great game of Capture the Flag. It can't possibly be that hard. So let's try and, I wrote it down on everyone's board in McCarty. I just wrote down Capture the Flag Wednesday night, and we're just playing it bigger and bigger every single time. Anyone can host a small game of Capture the Flag. Really all you need is a stick and just a group of people. It's like, we can do this, we can make this happen. And then we started doing it on Facebook. We just put it on all sorts of things. We put it on every group we could possibly find. And eventually we started getting thousands of views on a daily basis. First time we did it, we had 18 people. Then we had 66. Then last time we had 120. We play random other small obscure sports on a weekly basis.
The club has hosted dodgeball, capture the flag, and kickball so far, and are looking forward to kick the can and a water balloon fight later this spring. However, aspirations do not stop there.
My future hopes for the club are a bit ambitious. We're shooting for 1,000 people by the end of next year on the same map, and then we'll see if we can get the funding. Maybe we can do it in Central Park or something like that. We're going to make it on a national scale. That's obviously a little bit more optimistic, but I think we can do 1,000 people. We can get people from other campuses to come, from Seattle U, from Seattle Pacific, stuff like that. We can make it a community factor.
All lofty ambition aside, Timmy revels in the simplicity of it all.
The few days leading up to it, I just walk around campus and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm hosting Capture the Flag in a few days. It is gorgeous outside and a whole bunch of people are gonna have a lot of fun. This is the flag! This is where it's going to sit in the beginning.
This week on Film Focus, we take a look at The Amazing Spider-Man 2, starring Emily Stone and Andy Garfunkel. Over to you, John.
Thanks, John. I'm John Stolarczyk. Welcome to another episode of Film Focus. This week, we take a look at The Amazing Spider-Man 2, starring Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Peter Parker, played by Andrew Garfield, is plagued with visions of his girlfriend's dead father, to whom he promised he would stop dating Gwen Stacy, played by Emma Stone. He then breaks up with her, which leads to a will they, won't they scenario, which pretty much takes up the rest of the film. As Spider-Man, he apprehends a common thief stealing a truck, saving the life of Max Dillon in the process, played by Jamie Foxx. Max becomes obsessed with Spider-Man to a very unhealthy degree. While working alone, he later falls into a vat of electric eels, mutating him into a living battery. While this is happening, Peter Parker meets up with his old friend Harry Osborn, who has just inherited Oscorp, his father's company. Peter learns that Osborn will die if he doesn't get a sample of Spider-Man's blood. Parker refuses, driving Harry to ingest a sample of radioactive spider venom, turning him into the Green Goblin. Now Peter has to clean up his mess.
What?
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm doing my laundry.
Last time you did it, you turned everything blue and red.
Now the acting in this movie is actually very good. Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield, and Sally Field all give great performances. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield have great chemistry together. Andrew Garfield is surprisingly funny, and Sally Field grounds the movie in a more human element. Unfortunately, Jamie Foxx does not give a very good performance as Electro. His Max Dillon / Electro character is very poorly written, and most of his motivations don't really make any sense at all. At one point, he's obsessed with Spider-Man, but later wants to kill him for having too much exposure. It doesn't make any sense at all. And later on in the character, his Electro, which purportedly is made of electricity, gets hit by a car. It doesn't make any sense at all. Now, there's too much energy spent on the dynamic between Peter Parker and his father, Richard Parker. Richard Parker ran off when Peter was very small, and Peter has up until this point thought that his father and mother didn't love him at all. However, this is not the case, as Peter finds, but the payoff to this is simply that Harry Osborn ingests venom that his father did, and that's about it. It doesn't really make much sense after that.
Peter Parker, Harry Osborn. It's been 10 years. What have you been up to? I do some web design.
In the end, this movie tries to do so much and so many things that it ends up being a whole mush of sort of nothingness. I give this film 2 Tobey Maguire heads out of 4. Back to you, John.
Hi, my name is Shanisa Jackson, and in this episode, I went down to Kane Hall to check out this year's Afro-Caribbean night. Now, this year, they had a variety of performances representing over 40 countries, from Pan-African groups to Afro-Latino groups. One thing in particular that they added this year was a performance representing Belize. I hope you enjoy it.
These are the echoes, filtered under the glutton in the wind, fine-tuned like strings in violins, singing, be silent, be silent. You'll have to excuse my voice. It's sliced through the caricatures of the universe, peeled back the earth like the rinds of an orange. I'm the choked up tears tucked beneath pillow sheets. These somber days are when I long for home. I count drops of rain just to remind myself that it would only take 3 and not 4 billion me's, wide hips and all, spread across the Atlantic like constellations in the night, to bridge the gap between the shores of France and the streets of Soweto. They tell me I'm an animal. To work, eat, and turn on cue. Smile wide, smile big, be thankful and mean it. How big, how dark, how savage. These scientists never use the term gifted, or suggest that my hips, my skin, my body were merely God's ways of complementing the earth. I was a Negro.
This is somewhere where, everyone unites. There's 14 countries being represented today, and I think that just speaks volumes about how much, excitement and energy is in the place when it's all these creative ways through spoken word, through dance, and other art forms that we get to represent our people. So last year we had Dominican Republic, was the first time we were showing a little bit of more the descendants of Africa, not just Africa. And this year, I guess we're bringing that back. We have a Pan-African group, a Caribbean group that's showing up strong. Again, I'm performing for Belize, and that's another Afro-Latino group that, you rarely get to see, because for the Garifuna people, and they're very, kind of an endangered people. There's only a couple 100,000 of us left. And so, yeah, this is an opportunity just to show, I think, a wider variety of peoples than it was a couple years ago. Culture is a continuation of engagement. It's not a one-time event. This is something that we continue to do, and, to get to know each other on a genuine and personal level.
For me, it means a blending of the cultures, not only African-American, Caribbean, but if you look in there, you're going to see cultures across the board coming together and celebrating life, joy, happiness, camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood, peace, love, and everybody just getting along. So it's a good time to be had by everybody who goes into the event to enjoy it.
I think everyone gets butterflies, no matter how, if you're a first-time dancer, you've been trained for years, get those butterflies. And my first move is always really hesitating. After that, the music just takes it away. You don't think about anything after that. If you practiced, it flows from you. So after that, it's just all smiles and, just in the moment. As far as a pregame, just a quick prayer, just calm the nerves, in hopes that, whatever message that you're sending out is received by the audience. This is not just fun. This is something that you want to inspire other people and inform them about your culture. So just a prayer that message gets received.
It's always been about culture. It's always been about dance. It's always been about merging the cultures and the dance. But to me, the fashion show is the newest thing for this year.
I'm going to give my first dance hall workshop, which is, an introduction to Caribbean dancing, a little whining, a little, kind of things you would see in Sean Paul music videos, and then as well an introduction to West African dancing. So if they like the work that they enjoyed, or, they want to take part in that culture and those festivities, this is a perfect opportunity for them to get involved at, pretty low risk. It's just a one-time thing. So there's nothing better than, getting out there smiling and, shaking the thing, just having fun and moving to these rhythms. This is you know, the type of music we don't get to hear a lot. It's all this hip hop and stuff, and so it's refreshing just to hear all these different types of music. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
I think about the things you mentioned, the hard work they put into it, practices, rehearsals, getting groups together, getting the acts together, getting the costumes together, the nervousness that they go through. And then the event happens. And seeing the performances happen, and then the group gets off stage, and the joy that they have that they were able to perform in front of family, friends, community, other administrators, and they just happy. So that makes me happy to see that they were able to do that and have a good time doing it and enjoying themselves.
So in this week's episode, I went down to the Bluebird Cafe to interview local Seattle band Taco Cat, who were debuting their new ice cream flavor, the Choco Taco Cat.
The Bluebird Cafe is the perfect one-stop shop for house-brewed beer, soda, freshly churned ice cream, and delicious sandwiches and snacks. The Bluebird has 3 locations around Seattle, its first, however, being on Pike, in between 12th and 13th Avenue. I sat down with owner Josh Reynolds, who gave me the scoop on why the Bluebird Ice Creamery is so unique.
So today we've got a release of a new flavor called Choco Taco Cat, and we've been doing once a year for Capitol Block Party, collaborating with a band, a headlining band every year, and making these ice cream flavors designed by the artists. But we haven't done a Seattle-based artist yet, so these guys, Taco Cat, got in touch with us, and they're based in Seattle, so we decided it was time to do a Seattle-based flavor. So we collaborated, probably exchanged 24 emails with all the members, and came up with
around
this.
the Bluebird all day to greet fans and enjoy their brand new flavor as soon as possible.
I'm Leela. I play drums in Taco Cat. We're at the Bluebird Ice Creamery on Capitol Hill. It's our first flavor and likely our only flavor.
Dave gave me freaking
Oh my god, it's horrible. Just kidding.
After we
This
had
is
all
the
had
best
a
ice cream
fill
I've
of
ever
good
had.
vibes and even greater ice cream, I sat down with Taco Cat to get some insight on their story in the ice cream creation process.
Many emails, so many I don't remember.
There was a lot of brainstorming, and
Yeah.
there was like a lot of ideas, and I don't even remember. I think one of us had like a Choco Taco, and it was just like, oh man, duh.
Yeah.
Well, it's the best name for sure.
Yeah.
Choco Taco Cat? What? Maybe. But yeah, we pitched probably 20 different ideas.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And it did come down to like what's actually possible to make.
Right.
I don't really know
That's
how you make
impossible.
ice cream, but can you do pop rocks? I don't know. Putting the word out there.
Yeah, Choco Tacos are delicious.
They're
Yeah.
so
Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
Are they like drumsticks, kind of?
Kind of, but it's like actually shaped like a taco.
Yeah, but it has, and it's got that
And a
sort of
waffle
like,
cone.
soft waffle cone.
Yeah.
What's the story behind your name?
I was just writing down a bunch of palindromes with my friend Scotty, and we worked on like race car and Amanda Plan and Canal and all the beautiful ones, and we thought of Taco Cat. And I was like, that would be a great band name. And then we were bouncing around a lot of other ideas, and then that was the one that stuck.
Do you like tacos or cats better?
Cats. Cats. I guess cats.
Ooh.
Equal.
What was your guys' best concert experience and performance?
Yeah.
I mean, our album release show at Chop Suey.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh.
it's like a lot of our friends who have been there, like, we've been in a band for a long time, and
Yeah.
it was just, that was a really special show.
It was
super fun,
Like
and everybody
selling it
there
out
like
and
seemed to
having
have a great
everybody
time.
having-
Yeah.
And I got to throw candy and people started shouting candy, 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 candy. It was the best day ever.
I watched your
that was
dream
very
come
cool.
true right there.
This is first string, and now we're at the second dream where we have an ice cream named after our band. Like,
Yeah, really.
Actually, we're gonna retire before we play any more shows. I'm done. I don't need anything. That's true.
Hi, I'm Annie, and I've been working on a more personal piece recently about my friend and her experience with rape culture on campus.
It was at a frat party. We were both intoxicated. He was someone that I kind of knew before, but we like actually never officially met. So he like came up to me and was like, I recognized you, and was being very flirty with me and asking me to take more shots with him. Ended up us being on the couch and just talking for a while, and then he seemed clearly super intoxicated. He had that like hazy look in his eyes. And then he convinced me to go to his room. And then that's where it happened in his room. Once it was just me and him alone in his room, he pushed himself on me against the wall and then tried taking my clothes off. And then I kind of resisted at first, and then it just got to the point where it's too hard to resist, that he was just too forcibly on me that I couldn't get him off of myself. And I remember telling him that, like, I don't want to do this because I am a virgin. And then he didn't listen to me and penetrated me so hard that there was actually blood everywhere in his room. And then he kind of had that like really glazed over look in his eyes, and I was crying on his room floor because there was blood everywhere. And then I called some of my friends to come pick me up. And when I was admitted into the ER, it was 2 days afterwards. I suffered from intense internal bleeding because of that situation, and they brought in a social worker while I was in there, and they asked if I wanted to possibly press charges, but I didn't want to go through any of that. And for me, I kind of blamed it on myself for a while, because I said, oh, I was also drunk in this situation. I should have let it happen. I shouldn't have gone to his room in the first place. So for the longest time, I kind of blamed it on myself.
Alcohol is the most common drug that's used to facilitate sexual assault. And what I mean by that is that most survivors who experience assault have been, were drinking voluntarily when it happened. And even perpetrators are also using alcohol at the time, but are often not necessarily intoxicated or drunk. And alcohol is used by a perpetrator as a tool of coercion. So it's often used to target someone who is already vulnerable due to their level of intoxication, or also to target someone by feeding them drinks and making sure their drink is never empty. Alcohol renders somebody more vulnerable in ways to sexual assault, because they are less able to physically resist. They're less able to understand that they're in a risky situation, especially since most sexual assaults happen between people they know. It happens in a place that they're comfortable, so someone isn't thinking they're in a risky situation. Their risk cues are not up that this is a potentially scary situation. So, and alcohol obviously contributes to somebody not thinking they're in a risky situation. Alcohol is never an excuse for someone's poor behavior, and sometimes perpetrators use the excuse of I was drunk, I didn't know what I was doing, as a way to kind of mask their own culpability, which of course is not okay. And also survivors often feel more responsible or more to blame because of their alcohol use, which is also not right and not okay. And anyone who is drunk and passed out, deserves to be taken home and put to bed by a good friend of theirs. And there's nothing that anyone can do. Just because you're drunk doesn't mean that you deserve or asked to be raped in any way.
I didn't want to tell people. I was too embarrassed. I didn't want it, and after that happened, I didn't want it to be known because I didn't want it to get in trouble either. Because it would have just looked really bad on my part if he got in trouble. I thought people would hate me if I told on him. Once you come into college, I think even something like losing your virginity, the sacredness of it kind of diminishes once you're in that kind of college setting. Like before, I was always like, I'm gonna save myself for someone who's really special. And then once I got to college and saw that it was a very hookup culture. Everyone just gets drunk every night and hooks up with each other. It's super casual, so it becomes less important in your mind of hooking up. And I guess in that way, we tend to look at things like my situation as not rape. It's just hooking up. We need to let girls have more of a stand for themselves. I think the less we let these kind of situations pass by and the more publicized these kind of situations become, the less they'll happen. Because we need to show people that there's consequences for these kind of actions. It's because we have let it go on for so long and have let so many people get away with these kind of things that continually more and more happen. And they think it's okay.
That's all the content we have for tonight. We hope you found this episode enjoyable and informative and hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, check out our website at dailyuw.com/doubleshot or our YouTube channel at uwdaily. Thanks for watching and we'll see you again on the Daily Doubleshot.